There's finally a positive move in the direction of there being significant hydropower generation in Guyana as government recently closed bids for the Amelia Falls hydro facility.
It has begun to look a lot like Christmas for City Hall workers as Georgetown Mayor Hamilton Green says they are likely to receive their December salaries on time.
And a 24-year-old drug addict has chopped his father to death at their Wayaka Cabra Suzdike home early this morning.
The details of these and other stories, GENA News, and of course the latest sporting action in the Diamond, Mineral Water and NCN Sport News right after these. Good evening, I'm Natasha Smith.
And I'm Paul Moore.
With this edition of the 6 o'clock news for today, Thursday, November 27, 2008. Here's what's happening.
Thanks, Natasha. The Caribbean has joined the rest of the world in the global appeal to end sexual exploitation, particularly among young girls. The region's position was outlined by Dominica's Culture Minister Lorraine Banis Roberts, who is a delegate at the World Congress Against Sexual Exploitation in Brazil. Edward Lane reports.
Caribbean on Tuesday joined in making an impassioned global appeal on behalf of hundreds of thousands of the world's children who are said to be victims of sexual exploitation. Dominica's Community Development and Culture Minister Lorraine Banis Roberts at the Third World Congress Against Sexual Exploitation of Children and Adolescents in Brazil called for an end to sexual exploitation of these groups. While echoing the strong sentiments expressed by host President Lula da Silva and other keynote speakers at the conference, she noted that the problem was not as prevalent in the Caribbean as it was in other regions of the world. However, she pointed out that the region was not immune to the practices of sexual abuse of children and therefore needed to take the appropriate preventative steps. Already, Guyana is making moves to ensure that the legal framework is in place to deal with sexual violence against women and children.
Serious issues, and I have no sympathy for these people, and the penalties are going to be very, very tough for people who abuse children especially.
Nearly 3,000 participants from over 125 countries are in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, to exchange lessons and experiences in the fight against child sexual exploitation, review progress, and reinforce commitments. The Congress is examining sexual exploitation of children in the family, child marriage, sexual exploitation of child domestic laborers, and the commercial sex industry. Focus is also being placed on child pornography and sexual exploitation of children in cyberspace. Edward Lane, the 6 o'clock news.
The Guyana Sugar Corporation is expected to face a significant shortfall in production as problems continue to plague the entity. As a result, the corporation is also projecting a large budget deficit this year. More of this report.
GuySuco was expected to churn out some 290,000 tons of sugar this year. However, unfavorable conditions have caused periodic declines in estimates, with the company now struggling to make it to the 230,000 ton mark.
We had a problem with strikes. We had very inclement weather for a major part of this first crop and for a significant part in the commencement of the second crop. And the growing conditions of the cane was not very ideal. And as such, we had poor growing of canes. The cane population was there, but they didn't secrete the amount of sucrose that they had to, and so that we have a declining drop in whole, which is the cane quality.
The corporation has also suffered a significant setback due to consistent failures at the long-awaited Skeldon Sugar Modernization Project.
They are still in the commissioning phase. There are many teething problems that they're encountering, so the Chinese are trying as best as they could to see if they as early that factory could be commissioned. As it at this point in time, I can't say when they're able to do so because they have encountered some very significant mechanical problems.
Speaking with NCN, GuySuco CEO Nick Jackson stated that the company is engaged in discussions with the Chinese to determine the best way forward at this point. However, he declined to comment on what this may entail. Efforts to contact the CNTIC site manager Andrew Jin on the extent of the failures also proved futile. The sugar company is projecting a deficit of more than $1.2 billion this year. This is on account of the shortfall in production, price cuts by the European Union, and high expenditure for fuel, fertilizers, and increased freight rates. The financial future for Gaisuco in 2009 is also uncertain, but there is optimism that there will be a greater output level with the anticipated commercial operation of the Skeldon factory. Earlier last month, President Bharat Jagdeo mandated the company to submit a comprehensive report which includes a plan of action by the end of November. Independent financial and production reviews in sugar were also ordered to assess the current situation confronting the industry and propose possible solutions. Reporting for the 6 o'clock news, I'm Shardalal.
Well, there is finally a positive move in the direction of there being significant hydropower generation in Guyana, as government recently closed the bid for the Amelia Falls Hydro Facility. This is to supply the entire country with electricity from hydropower. More from this Ernestine Jagnarine report.
After decades of the possibility of there being hydro-powered electricity in Guyana, a giant step has been made in this, now becoming a reality. While in New York attending the recent Agri-Investment Seminar, President Bharat Jagdeo announced that he has closed the bids for the provision of hydropower from the Amelia Falls. But the president told the gathering that the bids were a bit high.
Well, I hope that everything goes well and we can conclude this agreement. The bids came in a bit high. But let's see if there will be adjustment because of the low cost, as I was saying earlier to the President of the Americas from the SR company. If that happens, we may be able to conclude a deal before the end of the year to start building that hydro.
Currently, all generation in Guyana is provided through small units burning either diesel or heavy fuel oil. The Amelia Falls project will be a substitute for these expensive and mostly outdated generation facilities. It would not only present a clean generation source, but also present necessary foreign exchange savings for the country by reducing Guyana's dependence on imported fuels. Additionally, it is a project which the head of state pledged to see completed before he demits office.
This gentleman is the president of the SR Group for the Americas, the whole of the Americas. They have a huge investment here in the U.S. It's a $50 billion company, and they're looking at a large ethanol project in Guyana, examining that now, which could range, if everything goes well, if it's feasible, up to $500 million. So I just met with him and several other investors.
The Amelia Falls project site, which has the capacity to provide over 140 megawatts of electricity, is located along the Currabong River in Region 8. The project includes a 300 kilometers transmission line to the substation near Georgetown, as well as a newly built and upgraded access road. Ernestine Jagnarine reporting for the NCN 6 o'clock news.